Here at Washington Watch, we've been covering the story of the Canadian pastor, Arthur Pawlowski, who is currently in jail. I mean, he's been in jail for over 3 weeks. We're not sure really why he's in jail. I mean, they've listed the charges. Canadian authorities have locked him up for over a month for a crime of speaking as a pastor at a Freedom Convoy blockade at the U.S.-Canadian border. Now, earlier this month, Senator Josh Hawley sent a letter to the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, or USCIRF, urging the organization to add Canada to its watch list. And now, Ohio state legislators have introduced a resolution calling on USCIRF to add Canada to its watch list with an appeal to Canada's historic legacy of religious liberty that has been trampled by its own government and their current treatment of religious leaders and pastors. Join me now to discuss the legislation is Ohio State Representative Reggie Stoltzfus. Reggie, welcome to Washington Watch.
Well, good afternoon, Tony, and it's a pleasure to be on your show. Thank you for having me today.
Well, I'm obviously very curious about this and what prompted you to take the actions to call upon USCIRF to put Canada on their special watch list.
Well, great question, Tony. You know, we have seen an increase of hostility and aggression towards faith leaders in Canada recently, going as far as arresting pastors for preaching and teaching and holding church services. And even recently, you just mentioned it, Arthur Pawlowski, he's still in jail, and I believe it's because he will not read a script to folks when he's preaching, a script that has been given to him by the government. So, you know, these pastors, you know, we have Pastor Coates, we have Arthur and David Pawlowski, Tobias Tisson, Tim Stevens, and many other pastors, I'm sure, that have been affected by the Canadian government and their overreach. You know, Canada is just violating their own stated values. The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms states that everyone has the following fundamental freedoms, Tony, which include freedom of conscience and religion. So, you know, as we see this across the border, again, Canada is just 100 miles from my front doorstep. And as I see these things happening and unfolding, I'm deeply troubled. And as a state legislator, you know, I'm going to do what I can do. I'm going to sound the alarm that religious persecution is happening 100 miles from my doorstep, and we need to do something about it. And that's what prompted this House resolution.
So, Representative Stoltzfus, let me ask you this. Let me point out first that in the resolution, you also make reference to a measure that was adopted earlier this year in Canada, Measure C4, which puts many pastors at risk if they preach the Bible from their pulpits.
That's a very good point, Tony. And, you know, the bill C4, as enacted by Canada, has very ambiguous language in it. And, you know, when we're talking about this, the bill outlaws converting someone who is a homosexual or a transgender person back to their original state of heterosexual or as defined, the sex defined at birth. And this puts pastors in a very difficult position when they're counseling people who are coming to them for help. And according to this law, it could cost a pastor up to 5 years in prison. And, you know, pastors have to choose. Are they gonna speak the truth boldly and biblically? You know, or are they gonna lay down to the government of Canada? And my prayer is that pastors stand up to this and they continue to speak boldly, and you know, that they can continue to preach openly without persecution.
Are you concerned, Reggie, that if this is not addressed north of our border, that we're going to see more of that here in America?
Tony, I am absolutely concerned that that will be the case. You know, it seems whatever happens, you know, around the world ultimately comes here after a while. And, you know, we see the shift in culture in the last 10 years, and it is not a good shift. So I do see this coming here, and we've got to put an end to it. We've got to stand up for religious freedom. We've got to fight for our religious freedom, you know, and it's something we've got to do as Christians.
Reggie, very quickly before we run out of time, what's the status of your resolution?
Thank you for the question, Tony. It's pending in the House. We're going to have our first hearing here very soon. We've got 11 co-sponsors, and we've got a pretty good conservative group here in the Ohio House of Representatives. I look for this bill to pass pretty quickly and to get on the House floor and, send a message to Canada and to, Justin Trudeau that Ohio and America is watching how you are treating your faith leaders.
Well, I thank you for taking that step. As a former chairman of the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, I'll let you know that an inquiry has been made with the Canadian government regarding their activities. And at some point, I hope that information is made public. But thanks so much for your leadership. I agree with you 100%. We need to address it wherever it occurs around the world, lest it happen right here at home.
Absolutely, Tony. And real quick, I just want to give a shout out to one of our legislative aides who has worked tirelessly on this legislation. And that's Amanda Megato. She's done great work on this, and I just want to give her a shout out and a big thank you. So,
very good. Reggie, thanks so much for joining us. Great to talk with you.
Thank you.